Elon Musk gave us a rare glimpse at the future of Tesla during yesterday's earnings call. He's talked about robotaxis before, but yesterday he leaked his vision for a dedicated robotaxi vehicle, one without a steering wheel or even pedals. He said it's going to be by far the lowest cost per mile transport ever, and that a robotaxi ride will cost less than a bus ticket or a subway ticket. And he said they hope to bring the robotaxi to market with full production, volume production, by 2024. The robotaxi and other robot innovations are huge growth areas for Tesla, which, by the way, reported earnings that were more than 50% higher than what analysts were expecting last quarter. But then again, Elon did schedule his earnings announcement for 4/20, so would you expect anything less than high earnings? Earlier this month, he said that their human-sized robot named Optimus would be introduced in 2023. Yesterday, he actually said that he expects that robot business to ultimately be worth more than the car business and more than full self-driving. Yesterday, he also alluded to maybe getting directly involved in the lithium business and encouraged entrepreneurs to do the same. He said that lithium margins were basically like software margins, and to quote Elon, "Do you like minting money? If so, the lithium business is for you." Well, we like minting money, so today on Dumb Money, how Tesla's robots and maybe lithium could change everything and what it all means for the future of Tesla's stock. We are Dumb Money.
Three friends who turned $30,000 into $30 million using nothing more than Twitter and a zero commission trading account.
The suits that work on Wall Street, they call those people the smart money. That's not us.
Our goal is to help level the playing field for everyday investors.
We are Dumb Money.
Hey there, Dave here along with Chris and Jordan. We are Dumb Money. Welcome to Dumb Money Live. And until we have our very own Optimus robot to do simple human tasks like smashing like buttons, we do have to rely on each and every one of you for that. So please go ahead, take a second, get those likes in. Chris, Jordan, I absolutely love it when Elon goes off on earnings calls. I don't know if he planned to reveal as much as he did yesterday, but we did get a lot of interesting nuggets. What are your initial thoughts?
So, I've listened or have read the transcript of every Tesla earnings call since the company went public, and for anyone that's done that and has followed Tesla over the years and Elon, you always have to kind of have a layer of skepticism behind anything that Elon says.
He does say every single time he has a new product, he says it's going to be ready next year. I don't know how many years we've been waiting for full self-driving, but it's always next year.
Correct. That said, I'm just gonna reveal this. I have been invested in Tesla on and off over the years. I've never been I've never been like a Meet Kevin style, half my portfolio in Tesla, right? I wish I did right back then. I'm actually more excited about Tesla, and I know a lot of people have said this since last night, since this earnings call. I'm more excited about Tesla right this second than I have ever been in the history of the company, and I think I will talk about that during this episode. But
I agree, and this has been one of my biggest holdings for. Well, ever since I bought the stock, and it went up so much and became one of my biggest holdings because of that. But yeah, I'm more optimistic about everything Tesla right now than ever.
And Dave, the only thing that's held me back on Tesla for a really long time, and we are, all three of us in various ways are kind of have our roots in the automotive business. I started my career in the automotive business, and I've been thinking about cars almost my entire life. Jordan, you as well. Dave, you spent a big chunk of your career in the automotive industry. And I just
the software side of automotive. I've never really been a car person at all, but
yeah. I'm a car person, right? Like I've always been a car person to the point where I'm just burnt out on cars, and maybe that's part of the issue. I just do not have any faith in the future of cars beyond, call it the robotaxi in Tesla's language, right? That's the only thing I'm really interested in, and that is an area where there's just a whole lot of debate on what the winning technology will be and who will be the big winners in that space. And I think there's still more questions than answers, even knowing everything that we know today. Elon will tell you he's going to dominate the space, right? But I think there's more questions than answers. I actually am probably more excited about Tesla's role in that space right this second than I ever have been. And again, you have to kind of read between the lines. And I thought one thing that was really interesting in that earnings report yesterday, or the Q&A session, is that the first question Elon got drilled on. Listen, when you listen to earnings call, you're like, why don't they ask this? This is what's on my mind. I want someone to really give it to Elon about, man, you have just been wrong in the past. You have basically told us one thing, and it is every year you tell us it's coming out this year, and it doesn't. And that was what happened. Like, someone really addressed that with him. And I kind of liked his response. He basically said he was wrong. He said nothing in his entire career has he been more surprised that he thought he was just on the cusp of realization of that thing actually happening, and it just doesn't unfold. And it feels like he learned his lesson.
I feel like
he
now talks way more about like volume production and being able to scale things. And he's always, prior to this, once he has a prototype, he's like, oh yeah, it's ready to go. Now it exists in the world, and it is a thing. He now knows and seems to be more cautious about saying things, which made me wonder. Optimus robot? You've seen the demo of that?
You can't get into the robot. Don't get into the robot yet, because let's
Next
talk about
year?
the robot. Let's get in phases, because first, before we get into any of that stuff, Elon basically admitted that in order for self-driving to really work the way he envisions it needs to work, like it truly has to be human AI, right? Like human equivalent AI, and that's what he's been developing for these years, just pulling data, learning from the data, and he did seem really confident that this is the year. He basically said that he's going to have releases every, was it 2 weeks or 2 months? I think it might be 2 weeks. Like, I don't recall if it was every 2 weeks or 2 months. He's going to have new releases, and he challenged everyone to just try it for themselves this year. They're going to onboard more people than ever before, exponentially more than they ever had, into their beta program, to where people can see the improvements over the course of this year. And he seems pretty confident that this is the year that they will cross the threshold of being able to kind of have that, to have that driverless technology at a standard that would be street ready. Okay, now that doesn't necessarily mean that this is my big issue with Elon. Again, he's talking about, did he say full rollout in terms of scale up, Dave, in 2023 for the robotaxi? Is that correct? It's 23 for the robotaxi, right?
24 is when he was hoping, and he didn't say it would happen. He said he was hoping, targeting. It was some language like that. It's not like it will be here 24. He's saying we hope to have it ready at production scale in 24.
On what roads?
Or by 24.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that the regulation's not going to be there in time for any of this, because full self-driving is a level 2 autonomous technology, right? And so it's totally mislabeled as full self-driving. It's not level 3, 4, or 5. Right now, it's level 2. And so for him to even be able to get that far with regulators is going to take way longer.
And for him to have a car that doesn't even have a place where a driver can sit and monitor it, you can't drive that anywhere. He can't put that on any street anywhere in the world, as far as I know.
You have to have an attentive driver to be able to use full self-driving. And so it's a mislabeled...
but it will get there. I mean, it will get there. He's just, once again, I think a little early.
But way far off than what he's thinking. And so these are the types of things, and I always go back to the one Elon quote that really I always go back to, which is March of 2020, when he said that COVID will not exist in 30 days. And it's like, sometimes he's just so far off, he's delusional when it comes to certain things. Elon is brilliant. I'm so glad we have Elon in this world, man. I really am. I'm so happy we have him. But at the same time, he's delusional when it comes to certain things that are outside of his control. And this is one of those things that are just simply outside of his control. So I do believe that Tesla has a real shot at leading the charge when it comes to robotaxis. Although I know there's a lot of debate amongst, LiDAR versus his tech. I mean, can he really pull it off without all the kind of heavyweight, super expensive technology that is required that Google's working on and other players in the space are all working on? I don't want to go down that wormhole today, okay? Because I don't think that's what's exciting about Tesla coming out of this earnings call. As an investor, what I think you have to appreciate about Tesla is the willingness of Tesla investors to place a value on something that could be 5 to 10 years down the road, right? And so I feel like we've kind of run the course when it comes to Tesla's automotive, right? Automotive revenue projections here. I think we're kind of measuring in what I would consider as a reasonable best case scenario for just their automotive division alone. And when Elon says, guys, that he wants to produce, 25 million cars a year out of Tesla, like you do realize that last year in 2021 that we only produced, or annualized, we only produced globally, I think 72 million cars a year. So that's like a third. Am I? I don't think I'm wrong about that. I think that's correct. It's 72, 75 million. Someone could double check that.
Sounds about right. I think it's 15 million-ish is what we produce in the United States.
Yeah. So I mean,
I think that sounds about right. I could look it up.
I'm just not buying that he can be a third of the world's automotive market. But again, maybe the robo-taxi piece is a replacement cycle that is so large that alone for a short period of time can scale up to those types of numbers if we get global government regulation that allows that type of vehicle to be on the road. But here's the thing, guys. If you have robo-taxis operating as efficiently as Elon suggests they can operate, we won't need as many cars on the road, right? Like that's the
I'm
whole
keeping
point.
my car until Elon has a robo-taxi that will just shuttle me around. Then
But
I don't
Dave,
need one
you don't
anymore.
need you don't need
Except
your
maybe I'll
own
keep my
robo-taxi.
Cybertruck if that ever happens.
Yeah, you don't need your own robo-taxi. So if everybody moves to the robo-taxi model, not that everybody will, but when a good chunk of people do, we just don't need as many of them because they're operating 24 hours a day. Right now, Ubers are operating and then sitting in a garage, right? And then someone else is then operating their Uber for 8 hours or 9 hours and then putting that in a garage. And someone else is operating theirs for 8. So we might have 3 different Ubers on the road for a 24-hour cycle where you could theoretically have a robo-taxi, if it's as efficient as Elon suggested is, with minimal battery recharge time because they're so efficient, almost 24 hours a day.
Not even close to almost 24 hours a day. Are you kidding me? You know how long it takes to charge an electric battery?
No, Jordan, what I'm suggesting is the robo-taxi they're developing, they claim to be 5 to 10x more efficient than existing cars. So they're developing a robo-taxi that's not anything like an existing EV. The style of it, the weight of it, the efficiency of it, it will be designed to last way longer than a normal car because of the way it's designed. And so, yes, it will need some charging.
You still have to have charge times, right?
I agree. I'm not saying it's 24 hours a day. I'm just saying it could be relatively close to operating close on a 24-hour cycle, right? Obviously, it has to have a couple charge times during the day. So
or they could do something like what's that Neo, where there's just battery swap outs, where you have battery charging, just take the whole battery out and have another one.
By the time the robo-taxi actually hits our roads in scale, we're going. That will be less of an issue, right? So what I'm getting at here is that one. And by the way, the devil's advocate on this earnings call, and I always try to seek out people that are anti-Tesla to see what their what their combative take is on a positive earnings like this. And listen, they did still have a lot of credits that went into this earnings. Also, They did not yet feel the effect of inflation, and everyone gave them a lot of credit for that, mostly. But if you really think about it, and Elon and his team said this on the call, they are in contracts with almost basically all of their suppliers, including their lithium suppliers. Okay. So they are not yet feeling the effect of higher pricing. Now, they are feeling the effect of supply chain issues that's basically hindering their ability to produce as much as they would like to produce. But on the cost side, they are not yet feeling the impact. But that's not because Tesla has some kind of magic, right, way to get stuff that much cheaper than all the other automotive manufacturers. It's just because they're in deals where they're not yet feeling the effect of it yet, but they will, and they have raised prices substantially uh, for orders that are coming in past a certain date, because they know that past a certain date, their suppliers are going to start charging them considerably more. Lithium, one of those things, but many things are going to cost significantly more. So I think that's going to hit them down the road. But then again, they raised their prices. So will this price raise on Tesla, will people continue to order Teslas at the rate they've been ordering? Will they continue to kind of keep that wait list? I'm not 100% sure. Like, I'm on the fence when it comes to that, but I don't think that's a problem we need to think about right now, because for the next few quarters, Tesla is going to have all the demand that they need to deliver everything they're capable of manufacturing. So on the short-term horizon, I don't really see any huge negative for Tesla, and I think that's part of the reason why they popped today. But what I think what's more exciting, guys, about this call, and I'll let you guys talk, sorry, is the fact that they laid out a plan, and he didn't go deep. Okay, Dave, you can talk about this now. The Optimus robot, where if you look at what he's pitching with the Optimus robot, he's pitching a business that would be substantially larger than the car business, the Tesla car business. Now, you could believe that or not believe it, but what you can't deny the fact that Elon has delivered. He has delivered on the pipe dream that was Tesla Automotive in a way that very few people on Wall Street, at least, thought he'd be able to deliver. So the fact that he's actually done that, I believe the market is going to believe and give him credit for another business that is directly related with this humanoid business we'll talk about, that I think could propel, theoretically, the next big mega cycle in Tesla stock, because Elon is not going to have to deliver a humanoid, even though he says he is pretty soon. He's not going to have to actually deliver one anytime soon, and people are going to be okay with that. Guys, he's saying it's much larger than the automotive business. That is a big statement. Is that not the most important thing out of the call yesterday?
Yeah, that was, I was not expecting that. And he even said he thinks that everyone has underestimated what this robot can do. It basically can replace humans doing any tasks that humans don't want to do. And,
well, it can't do anything right now, Dave.
Well, no, it can stand on stage and give a demonstration. But,
I love Jordan. This show would suck so bad if we didn't have Jordan in the corner saying, "Well, it actually can't do anything at all right now, Dave."
I mean, is that a guy in a suit, or is that a real robot? I can't even tell from this shot.
Dave.
You're right. Oh my God. So, but here's the thing. If you guys haven't figured this out, Dave, I think you're with me. Jordan, I think you too. Don't you agree? It's so inevitable. Like, the robots are the one thing that we can say confidently it's inevitable. So inevitable. Like, it's we can debate whether it's 5 years or 50.
Chris. Like, we've invested in a robotics company that's doing quite well, that's putting robots in hospitals,
yes.
right?
But
Jordan,
our robot just
shirt.
Oh, yeah,
I just think that it's a total waste of, like, engineering and just manpower to try to make it totally anthropomorphic. There's no reason to make it look and walk like a human. They can be task-oriented robots like we've invested in. They can do specific tasks, a multitude of tasks, and they don't need to look like people and have legs.
So Jordan, that's kind of a debate, right? In the robotics
it is a
community.
debate, right? I get it, because if you're limited, like if you've got wheels or whatever, then you're limited to, single stories and elevators and things like that. You can't use stairs. You have to have ramps.
But if you look at Boston, was it Boston Dynamics Robotics? Or like if you look at the robot that they put out a new video every few months, right, of what their robot can do. Jordan, it is a humanoid. It's a humanoid, like
Yeah,
So,
I know. I'm just saying
also
that
have a dog.
like what's the point, right? I mean,
there has to...
whatever the purpose of the robot. Does it help? Like if I have a robot,
Jordan,
it's
yes,
just gonna, go and get my mail and crap. It could have wheels and be totally fine.
If you think about it, a humanoid robot has one advantage, is if you're trying to specifically replace what a human does, whether it is going to your mailbox and taking the thing out, yes, you could make a much more rudimentary thing that can wheel out and single purpose get the mail and bring it back to you. But if you have a humanoid,
it could everything a human does.
It could make you scrambled eggs in the morning, and it could then go get your mail, and then it could... Yeah.
Dave, our world was built for humans. So opening up a refrigerator door is designed for humans. So when you build a humanoid robot, it naturally fits into the human world. And you don't have to replace everything for robots, because the human can now the humanoid can naturally fit in and do like if you don't want to have an actual robotic lawnmower, it could theoretically push your actual lawnmower. I mean, that's a stupid example. I'm just saying, like, there's a reason why they have developed so far humanoid style robots. And you're right, Jordan. At the same time, they're also
I just don't know why you would like try to replicate, a human body that's just, the process of evolution, when you could design something better or more purpose fit to whatever task you're trying to have it do.
But I think the world right now, that is the design that naturally fits into doing tasks. Like you talk about the Diligent robot, the Moxie robot that we've invested in. That robot looks like a human, so it doesn't freak people out, but its job is basically to retrieve laundry and do some basic tasks in a hospital.
It kind of looks like a human because they've put a face on it, but it's just a robot, right? I mean, it has a robotic arm, and then it's on wheels. Because that's way easier to do, and you can get the job done without having to, dump a bunch of money into making legs and balance and all those things that are totally unnecessary.
Yeah, but the leg balancing technology, it seems like we're getting there. Like they're getting there in a really fast clip now.
No, I don't disagree. I know we're getting there. And
see how complicated it was for our robot to push a button, though? It has to have this giant arm that tries to figure out where the button is. If it was more human-like, it'd just go bing. It would know how to push like buttons, and that's really what I need a robot to do.
You don't need to push like buttons, Dave. You can it's on your phone. It's automated now. Like you don't. The concept of a robot doing physical things is super weird when computers can just turn on your lights for you.
Hey,
you need a robot to go turn on switches.
I see it this way. I think robotics are going to take over everything. I think automation is going to take over everything, combined with artificial intelligence. I just think it's all inevitable, and I think I agree with you, Jordan. I don't know what
I agree with you 100%. I just don't think it needs to look like a human.
Yeah, I don't know that it does or doesn't, and I don't necessarily think that the technology that Tesla is developing in AI, I think can be applied. I think what Elon was getting to was that the technology that they have been working on for many years for their driverless cars, which I know we're saying is not street ready yet, is the exact same technology that they're applying towards their robotics. So he's claiming, right or wrong, that they have a distinct edge over traditional robotics companies because they have been working on this compatible AI that they can bridge into the physicalities of a robot now for any number of tasks. That's what he's claiming, at least. Now, how, can Elon be trusted? That's something that I constantly say, right? Can he be trusted? Maybe, maybe not, right? You have to take it with a grain of salt. But I think if he puts out a robot, and Elon is very good, Jordan, at basically building a pie in the sky, fantasy, right? Like for the world to either believe or not believe. And because he's achieved what he's achieved, there will be a time, I'm going to tell you, in the next 18 months, there will be a time in the next 18 months when he is going to roll out, what's it called, Dave? What's it called, the robot?
Optimus Prime.
Optimus. He's going to roll out
It's also
Optimus.
known as Tesla Bot.
Okay. And he is going to sell us a future that is going to blow your mind. Now, it might be Elon being ridiculous and saying he's going to do this in 2 years when it's going to take 12 years or maybe never. But he's going to do that, and I think that is going to fuel a speculative run in Tesla stock that at this point in time, I am really excited about. I'm not even excited about the reality of whether or not this thing becomes a successful robotics company, right? If it ends up being a top 1, 2, or 3 robotics company. That said, understand, very few companies have the money that Tesla has. Very few companies have the manufacturing capacity that he has. And very few companies have the following and the brand value, right, that Tesla has. So if you think about it, other than maybe Apple, okay, and even Apple, just not even close, right? But there are very few companies that can come out and potentially be a front runner in this space. And if we start having articles in the next 2 to 3 years about how the mass production of robotics globally is going to be a $15 trillion industry, or wherever the hell they end up saying, you know that with Elon, he knows what he's doing. He wants to be the 1 or 2 or 3 companies that are put in that space to get his valuation up from 1 trillion to 5 trillion. Okay. So as an investor, that's how I'm reading all of this right now, right? I'm not thinking too deep about it.
No, I'm the same. I think that he, like I said earlier, he's tackling the scale problem. And I think if anyone's going to make a robot at scale in the next 10 years, don't you think it's Tesla?
No. Well, I'm not saying it necessarily has to be Tesla, but I'm saying he's proven that he can take a lot of money, which he has, and he can do things that are so aggressive when it comes to building out these factories. Come on, guys, look what he did in Austin. He did exactly what he said he was going to do, minus the part where it's going to be beautiful from the outside, which it definitely is not. He just delivers on this stuff. He's a maniac when it comes to this, an absolute maniac. So, like, if there's one person that can actually say, I'm just doing it, he just does it, right? If he says that he's going to do it and he knows that the future of Tesla is dependent upon this, I'm not prepared to really doubt him. I'm prepared to doubt when the robot is going to be released and what it's capable of doing. That I'm prepared to doubt. I'm not prepared to doubt his ability to sell the world on a really big idea and then go out and actually initiate the foundation for that idea and start to execute on that plan, even if it takes 5 times longer than he says it's going to take. He's going to start doing it, and he's not going to take no for an answer. That's the bottom line. So,
yeah,
I think that's what matters, man. I really do. I will say this, getting back to the robo-taxi, I think the one line in that earnings report that people might overlook a little bit is this whole, Heath says that robo-taxi will be 5 to 10 times more cost efficient per mile. And again, Dave, you said this in the intro, that it will cost less than a bus ticket, a subsidized bus ticket, or subsidized subway ticket. So he's saying,
yeah,
not a bus ticket, not a subway ticket,
so
subsidized.
Subway tickets are not subject to inflation the way some things are.
What?
Because the cities,
Hey,
like
Jordan, what did you say?
I said that includes, so the cost per mile would include not having a driver, right?
Correct.
Right. Which right now, obviously, that's not possible with their current technology.
Yeah, and I also think the way he's like I said, I think the way that they're going about designing this robo-taxi is obviously very different from the way that they would design normal Tesla. Now, obviously, we know that other manufacturers are developing their own robo-taxis without steering wheels and all this stuff. But who is better than Tesla at getting at efficiency in manufacturing for this stuff at scale? No one's going to come even close when it comes to building the type of battery efficiency, the type of lightweight integrated design efficiency. What Tesla was really designed for, let's be honest, Tesla cars, very cool when they first came out. I know some people really love them, but they're not necessarily innovating when it comes to style and refreshing the look, right, on a regular basis. That, to me, like, Tesla has always kind of missed the mark there, at least from my personal preference. But what Tesla was designed for is producing millions and millions and millions of like these robo-taxis at 30 to 40% less than any other automotive manufacturer can produce them at. And again, if you look at, like, I saw a video, it was really interesting. It said if you do a flyover of just the Austin factory, right, the Gigafactory, and then you do a flyover of GM's new EV factory, it is like night and day. Like the amount of people involved with, like, operating GMs versus the way that the robotics involved in Elon's production, it is like he's operating on another level, guys. So I think that when you think about driverless tech, let's just assume that he gets it right.
I can't get past the subway comment, because what is it? It costs like $4 to ride the subway.
Less than that. But he said subsidized, right? So he's talking about a fraction.
Yeah, but even at the highest retail rate to ride the subway, wherever you want in Manhattan, how are you going to get a robo-taxi for less than $3?
Easily, Dave. Easily. When that robo-taxi has tires, wheels, it's super ridiculously lightweight, ridiculously small, right? And so there's nothing in it at all. All the stuff that makes a car expensive, all the finish out, all of the stuff, all those components are completely removed. You know how cheap these things are going to be, how light they're going to be, and how efficient these things are going to be to basically just take you from point A to point B. And the biggest cost driver, you know this, Dave, is a driver, right? And there's no driver. That's why Ubers are so expensive. That's why.
If you think about like a subway or a bus, I mean, just the space efficiency, and like you can't compete with that. Like, I mean, it's just like physically you can't compete with that. It's not possible.
What do you mean? Oh, I disagree. What do you mean, like a bus?
Like if you took an equivalent bus, right? There was, let's say it's electric or whatever. It's way more efficient to operate a bus than it is to operate a small passenger vehicle. From a space standpoint.
In today's world, yes, but I think when you think about a bus, Jordan, I don't necessarily agree when you factor in the fact. Well, first of all, if it's driverless, a driverless bus,
right.
Yes.
Yes, if you take the same driverless technology and you make them on parity, it'd be way more efficient. Or but if you take a train into account, so if you take like a subway system, that's obviously going to be way more efficient.
Okay, but first of all, he's not discussing today's tech to tomorrow's tech. He's discussing what he's coming out with tomorrow to today's bus, right? And you have to have a driver. And by the way, the subway and buses work for a small fraction of society. Like, most people cannot rely on a single point to single, right? On that, so that it's almost, you can't even compare them.
I get it.
I think the better comparison is driving your own car or taking an Uber. So anyway, what I was getting back to is, I think that he will have such a massive edge in terms of cost of production and cost of operating these vehicles, if he does what he says he can do, that he might just dominate globally. He might dominate the robo-taxi business globally if he can pull that off. And I think the cost efficiencies at scale that Elon is able to get to, that is probably the number one most interesting thing about his robo-taxi business. It's not necessarily like his tech versus, the tech of the competitors, right? That they're using LiDAR and stuff like that. Although his tech is a lot cheaper if it actually works, just based on the self-driving tech and the AI. Anyway, I'm excited, guys. There's still a lot of risk here. There's risk in he continues to not put out any type of self-driving, and it just never works, right? What if that happens? That's a catastrophe for Tesla. Because it hasn't happened yet, right? We can all agree that his driverless tech, no one's happy with it. at this very second.
Yeah.
No one believes it's there right now.
So far, we keep hearing it's next year. And, even in the demos that I've seen of people with the full self-driving beta, it doesn't drive like a human. It makes weird decisions. It's real hesitant. It's not a smooth, fluid driving. Even my car beeps at me when it thinks that there's a car in front of me that's turning out of the way, and that I'm smart enough to know that it's going to be, it will have cleared the intersection by the time I get there. Tesla basically slams on the brakes when that happens. So it has a way to go.
We'll just have to see. And I don't, Tesla is still a relatively small part of my portfolio, but I did double down in Tesla today. I 2x my Tesla position today, and I added Tesla to my charitable foundation today for the first time ever. And I did that because I feel like this is like a 5 to 10 year play at this point. I didn't, if you would have asked me a year ago, Tesla at this point, like, can you get a 5x plus return on it? I would have said it's going to be really tough, right? But I think bringing in robots, again, whether or not he delivers on that promise fully, I think at least gives us the speculative run-up at some point in the future where I can envision Tesla being a $2-3 trillion company, right? Like, I actually see it. He has to continue to execute on automotive. He needs to get a lot closer on the robo-taxi thing, and he needs to deliver the long-term dream of robots. But now his head is there. I love that his head is there. I love that he's going to attempt
transitioning Tesla from a car company to a autonomous robot everything company.
That's what we need. If you want to envision Tesla as a $4-5 trillion company, Kathy Wood says $4 trillion, right? She said that, I don't know, a week or two ago. Mm-hmm. If you want to envision that company, you have to have robots as part of the mix, I think, to get there. Yeah. So robots are something else. By the way, he just announced during this episode or shortly before it that he has found the funding to make a tender offer for Twitter. Is this a good or a bad thing for Tesla? This is yet another distraction. I mean, Elon has a lot on his plate. Does it even matter at this point? Is it better for him to be distracted and just to get out of the hair of people that are working for him at Tesla, or is that a negative? Because if he ends up buying Twitter here, he might just have a shot, quite honestly. Because if you think about the owners of Twitter, a lot of Twitter's investor base are ETFs and large funds that really they just kind of have to own a lot of Twitter. They're not in it for politics. I could see them taking the money. I really could. And especially, I think he keeps rumoring that he's going to do something for shareholders where he would sell but still allow some share. I don't know how he would work that out. Still allow some future benefit for shareholders in this deal. I think he's got a shot, guys. I really do. But is that a negative for
I was
Tesla?
just looking. He has not yet tweeted about this, but Reuters is reporting that he has secured $46 billion in funding.
Funding secured.
As he likes to say.
That, by the way, that's not a surprise. I mean, I feel like, listen, I knew there would be money out there for Twitter, right? When you have Elon behind it, I'm not surprised. The price is not ridiculous, but it's good enough. I'd like him to buy. I'm happy to sell my Twitter shares to him right now at his tender offer. I will say yes, partially because I bought my shares the second he announced it, so I'll be positive it's a nice short-term gain for me. But I'm selling. Do you think it's a negative for Tesla, though? Do we need another distraction?
No, I don't think it is.
So the thought is that Tesla's at a point right now where he has the right people in place. He went through a rough patch with talent when he had massive talent leaving Tesla. It sounds like from everything I've read this past 6 to 8 months that he's actually brought in a lot of good talent to Tesla, and they're probably in a pretty good place moving forward. So, and they certainly have the money and the stability at this point to continue to attract talent and give them the opportunity to do insanely cool stuff. I mean, Jordan, if you were an engineer, which you are, but if you were looking for a job, right? Don't you think that has to be high on your list of cool places to work? Has to be, right?
It's tough, right? Because I've heard he's a maniac to work for.
But are you really
working
working
like
for him
directly
at this-
interface with Elon? I don't think. But yeah, I mean, I feel like you've got a lot of runway to work on things. So,
Well, if you would like to go work for him, his most recent tweet, he's trying to get people to come work at the Boring Company.
sounds boring.
Solving global traffic problem is boring.
Yeah, it sounds boring to me too, but I don't know. I don't think like an engineer. So don't. You guys are pretty boring. Not you, but generally,
Easy.
right? So like, you find excitement in different ways. All right, guys. So I don't know what else to say about Tesla, man. It was a great call. I thought.
Yep.
I think it's a type of call where you really need to listen to the call and read between the lines.
Now,
And
when did you buy your extra shares? Because it is coming down from its spike this morning.
Yeah, I bought them higher than where it is right now. I don't know. I bought them like half an hour before our episode started. So, I mean, I'm down on the shares that I bought. I'm probably somewhere halfway between the top and that where it just bottomed out.
We're all very long-term on Tesla. And like I said, it's not a big part of your portfolio. It's one of my top holdings. And I see it being a top holding for the near and far future.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really blame you. It's just there's a lot going on there that just it always makes me nervous having Tesla be that big of a part of my portfolio. Then again, I have a lithium company that does zero revenue as one of my top holdings. So who am I to talk? Like I'm doing some ridiculous. Speaking of lithium,
Yeah, and what happened, by the way? What happened to Lithium America? It's fallen off a cliff in the last.
I've been searching. I've been trying to figure out what's going on, and I can't find anything concrete.
I can't.
But it's not just
out.
it's not just LAC. So Plug Power looks the exact same. Enphase looks the exact same. So somebody's unloading something.
It's interesting here. Yeah, you're right. Now Piedmont's starting to drop, and it wasn't.
Look at Enphase.
By the way, I like that the other guys are dropping too. I was really at first it looked like it was just Lithium Americas.
Right, because I thought maybe there was like some news about the loss, about the court case or whatever, but that apparently is not the case.
There are just a handful of things that could happen. At any moment, they could announce a funding deal that's seen as less than optimal in the way that they're structuring it, right? Also, they could have found some cultural issue in their mind that's going to complicate, the last little bit of approval that they need, right? They're waiting on that they got the final approval, but it's being held up right now. So there could be an issue that's tied up in court. I don't know what it could possibly be. I like it that it's the entire industry. I was a little nervous yesterday because one of my big risk factors for Lithium Americas is Tesla announcing some crazy, wild, like direct extraction technology that hasn't really been scalable yet, that would potentially trump what existing lithium companies like Lithium Americas are doing. I think that's super unlikely. So I was listening to the Tesla call yesterday specifically for that. But instead of that, Elon said something really interesting, and we're going to talk about this during our Twitter Spaces, guys. We have a Twitter Spaces that starts in 15 minutes. I don't know if Dave and Jordan can participate or not, but
I'll jump on.
Hopefully we're going to have Dante's trading. I think he said he would hop on and answer some questions. He's never done anything like this before, so if he actually does hop on, this is probably one of the best mining investors, traders in the entire space. So it will be really fun to have him on. But let me read you what Elon said related to lithium on his call. Lithium margins right now are practically software margins, 90%. Okay, literally for providers that can sell at spot. If you were able to sell at spot price, which not everybody can, it would be basically 90% margins, meaning the amount of money that it costs to mine lithium be 3 to 4,000 per ton. Spot's actually like 60 or 70,000 a ton. So even not at spot, even at like high contract, which would be 30 to 40,000 contract, which is like the very high end of what any contract could theoretically be, you're looking at 90% margin. So he says, it's like, do you like minting money? Well, the lithium business is for you. That's literally what Elon said. And what I loved about what he said is he was encouraging entrepreneurs to get into the lithium space. Now, what I love about that is that he probably does have something up his sleeve when it comes to direct extraction technology that they've been working on, but it's not so groundbreaking that he's like, we've solved the problem, so watch out, we're going to be the world's biggest lithium producer within a few years.
Well, and it takes so long to even get started with a mine. As we know from Lithium Americas, it's years of red tape before you can even, I don't know, shovel and pick that stuff?
Dave, how about 12 years? How about 10 to 12 years of red tape? And assuming that Lithium Americas actually receives the final thumbs up come August, let's hope that actually happens. We're looking at 2 years to build it out before they can start mining anything in the U.S. at least. They're about to break ground in Argentina. One thing, Jordan, that it might be, this is what I think it might be. You know there's been news recently about Mexico nationalizing their lithium production, and now Chile potentially nationalizing their lithium production. There's also rumors that have been circulating about Argentina nationalizing their production, and that is where Lithium America has their real lithium mine that's about to start producing lithium. So that would be, I don't know how that exactly works. Potentially a catastrophe? I don't know. I don't
think it would be good for Lithium Americas, though.
What? It would be bad for Lithium Americas. For sure it'd be a negative because it would probably cap their ability to grow. And I assume I don't know what happens. The government then just literally buys it out, takes it over. Like, I don't know exactly what those steps are when something gets nationalized and they're kind of like forced to sell it to the government, or maybe the government takes partial control of it, but I can't imagine it remains, a publicly traded entity or something that's available to private investors at that point. So I don't know. I don't know much about nationalization. I just know it's a negative for the industry when it happens, at least where it happens. So if it doesn't happen in Argentina, it's probably a net positive that it happened in Mexico and Chile, because everyone is speculating that once it gets nationalized, they become more inefficient, and it actually grows slower than when it was a private market, which is similar to what happened when Mexico nationalized their oil industry. Very similar thing happened there. So the news was a positive, but if it's Argentina, it's a big negative. I don't know what else it could be, guys, but we will get on this Twitter Spaces. By the way, we're not financial advisors. We didn't say that yet this episode. This is just our take on Tesla. This is what we're doing. Poke holes in the thesis. Get on dumbmoney.tv/Discord and debate it, please. And
if you want to continue this conversation about lithium, we're going to be talking all about it on the Twitter Spaces. Head to Twitter. Our handle is dumbmoneytv there, and we'll be joining. I believe Dante's Trading is going to be with us on that.
And you know what we're going to do, Dave, on this Twitter Spaces? I think is going to be really cool. We're going to address the other side. I'm thinking the metaverse. We're going to address, the skeptics, the lithium skeptics and the Lithium Americas skeptics. I tried to identify what their kind of devil's advocate take would be on this space, and I'm going to at least address what my take is on their take. So this should be kind of a balanced conversation around the pros and cons around the lithium industry. I'm going to go into a little bit of history in terms of how we got here. I think the history behind lithium is actually super interesting. The lithium market is super interesting. The history behind Lithium Americas and their mine up in Nevada, Thacker's Pass, goes back millions of years. It's such a cool story, and we'll talk about that on Twitter Spaces. It's the Dumb Money TV Twitter account, right, Dave?
Yes.
Dumb Money TV.
Head over to dumbmoney.tv.
1 p.m. Eastern. That starts at 10 minutes.
It's 10 minutes. So that means we have to say goodbye for now. Thanks for watching. We are Dumb Money. We will see you back here very soon.